Hey everyone, welcome back to Autonomy Farms, and today we're going to be getting into a new video. And before we get into the video, please go on and click the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Let's go on and get into the video. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Wildwoods Honeybee Farms Beekeeping Chat, the Wildwoods Beekeeping Chat. I appreciate you all so much for joining in tonight, and I appreciate you watching live, but if you are watching on the replay, which so many people do, they'll come on afterwards and watch the chat on the replay. I appreciate you as well. And so tonight's topic that we're going to be talking about, and we'll get into that in, a couple minutes. So if you are watching on the replay, you can always skip maybe a couple minutes and get right to the point. But if you're watching live, we will get to the presentation, the topic, in just a couple minutes. Just give some people some time to join in. So far we have 7 people. 2 people already, kind of commenting. I see Russell Amon, and Mike. So some folks who are joining in who I know. So I appreciate y'all joining in. On y'all's way, make sure to click that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. And if you would, check out my Wildwoods Honeybee Co. Etsy shop. The link to that will be in the description below, and in the comment section you can click the link to the Etsy shop. So it'll give some people some time to join in. It's still kind of early here on a Monday night, and like I said, the topic for tonight's chat, I'll make sure my audio is working. Yep, everything is working on my end. But anyway, tonight's topic is how to know if your colony is strong enough for spring. It's a pretty important topic for us to kind of talk about, and I think it'd be a good topic for everybody, for especially new beginners and even some intermediate beekeepers, and maybe even some advanced beekeepers might want to watch as well. So that's the topic for tonight. If you might, as you can see on the title, I see Tim and Hannah, Gunline Bees. Thanks for checking in from Alabama. I'm also down here in Alabama. I'll also get into some weather and stuff like that in a little bit. But today it's been pretty cold. Yesterday it was pretty cold as well. It's been kind of chilly, kind of getting a cold snap. I've been talking about that a lot, where we have to watch the temperatures around this time of year. We can have these random cold snaps. Like just the past couple of weeks, it's been in the 70s and the 80s. But all of a sudden, we're in these colder temperatures. Now we're down into the 30s at night, and we were supposed to get down to 25. I think 25, or might be 29 for tonight's low. Tomorrow we're going to be 55. The high today was like 47, and the next couple of days supposed to warm back up into the 70s. Oh, I see Brian, Flower Street Farm Bees from Colorado, and bee collector Richard. Thanks for checking in. Appreciate you. I guess we'll give some people can probably join in as we go. Go ahead and get into tonight's topic, which is how to know if your colony is strong enough for winter. So just give me just a second and pull this thing right on up. So as y'all know, every time I do these presentations, I won't really be looking at the chat. I will just be looking at my end, this presentation. So if you're trying to comment, I won't be looking at that, but I will go back later and look at it later. for people who are wondering. Also, if you're wondering, in the right-hand corner, the QR code, that is the QR code is to my Etsy shop. So if you want to check out my Etsy shop, you can just scan the QR code if you're watching on TV, or even on your TV, on a computer, whatever you're watching on. You can scan that QR code with your phone on photos, and it will take you right to the Etsy shop if you are curious and checking it out, if you haven't already checked it out. So tonight's topic is really, how do you know if your colony is strong enough for the spring? And even though we're in a cold snap for us down here in Alabama, it's still getting closer to spring. I kind of call it early spring, late winter, however you want to categorize it. But let's first kind of start out with why spring strength matters. So spring really determines your entire season. Strong colonies produce more honey. If you are wanting to produce honey for yourself, or if you even want to sell it. Weak colonies, fall behind, so you're not able to do as much stuff, whether it be splitting, expanding, honey. So if they fall behind, instead of your season being expanding, making splits and various other things, making honey, queen rearing, and other things as well, instead you're going to be trying to build that colony up all spring and summer long, getting ready for the upcoming winter. Same thing you would do with a nuke. If you get a new nuke, 5 frames, or even a package, that whole season is to get that package or nuke ready for the next year, so the next year you can get some honey, or queen rearing, or other things. Instead, you will be doing that instead of doing some other things that you would much rather do, making honey and queen rearing. But anyway, that as well, is another reason why spring strength matters. Swarm control depends on early strength, and parasite pressure can increase as brood increases. So if you misjudge colony strength now, you will you have to manage problems all season long. All right, so let's kind of start talking about what does strong, when we talk about a strong colony, what does that really mean? So a strong colony will have a large adult bee population, so that means worker bees, not drones. Now, drones are important for mating with queens. I've talked about that a lot before. That a lot of people think that drones are useless, but they actually do have a big purpose in the bee world. But you really need to have a large bee, adult bee population, which are worker bees. Right now, we have most of our bees are winter bees right now, but we're starting to have brood rearing right now. We're going to start having some summer bees. Now, if you don't know the difference between winter bees and summer bees, the basic difference is the winter bees have more fat on them, different type of fat, which that's more biology that we're not really going to talk about right now. We'll talk about that type of stuff. Bee biology. We can talk about that on a different day. Which is, I really find bee biology really, really fascinating and interesting, kind of learning about the bee. But the winter bee has more fat on them, and the winter bees live for about 4 to 6 months. The summer bees live for 4 to 6 weeks. That's the main difference. So you want to have a healthy, large adult bee population inside your colony. You want a solid, really, really healthy brood pattern. We'll talk about how you know what a brood pattern looks like, how you know it's healthy. We'll talk about that in a little bit. You want a good, productive queen. You don't want a bad one. If you have the opposite of a productive queen, you want to replace her in spring and get a new queen. If the brood pattern doesn't really look good, now we've talked a lot about that before as well, about you want to be intentional if you're replacing a queen, because sometimes if you just look at one frame and start to panic and then automatically go squish your queen, you might find on a couple frames later that the brood is starting to clear up, and it's just some other factors like you not having enough nectar in your area, your nectar flow isn't sufficient, and other things, and sometimes even your pollen not being sufficient. You also want to have good food stores. You do this time of year, you want to have good food stores. Even in strong colonies, you want to have pretty good food stores. And around this time of year, right now, you want to have good food stores. Because you might have cold snaps. It might be warm for a couple weeks, but you might have a random cold snap. And since your bees are flying all the time, they're going to be eating a lot of their honey. So you want to be just watching them real closely, watch their food stores, and make sure they don't run out. Because if they do run out, then they will starve. I've been trying to watch my bees as well. So all you have to do is lift your colony. You probably would have wanted to start this before, in winter, but just every couple of days or even once a week, go out to your beehives, every colony, lift your colony's weight and feel the weight and see kind of what it feels like. And each week you'll feel if it feels the same, you're good. But if it feels a little bit lighter, you might want to put some more food in there. So you also want to have manageable parasite levels. You want to have you want to keep them manageable. Small hive beetles, varroa mites, and other parasites that are out for bees. Also, you want to have room to expand. You don't want to keep your bees too crowded. If your bees are getting big and you have a nectar flow, you want to give them some more room. So, strength is not just a lot of bees, it is balance. And to know your balance is to inspect and check for a good brood pattern, everything that we just listed here. All right, so here's the things to know if your colony is strong. So let's start out with number 1. So we're going to talk about frames of bees. So each frame that you lift up, you kind of what you want to look for. So you want to evaluate, how many frames are fully covered with bees. Now, everything can vary because just because you have a small colony does not mean they're weak. Strong, healthy colonies can be small. Now, it will set things back a little bit, but they'll still be fine. But ideally, an 8 to 10 frames covered equals strong. Now, it's not exactly, it's just kind of giving you an estimate. I'm trying to give you a little bit of an estimate. 5 to 7 frames, covered with bees is moderate, and 4 or fewer frames equals small/weak. And that just depends if your varroa mite levels are high, if you have small hive beetles, because small hive beetles, you do want to take care of those, and other things within the colony, and diseases. Let's kind of talk about frames of brood. So what do you want to look for, with brood? Now it depends where you live, because right now, I have brood in my colony. I'm sure most people down here have brood in their colony, but many people don't. So you want to so it depends on where you live. Climate is really a factor in what you want to look for ideally in brood frames. And again, it's just an estimate. It's not kind of what you want to see. Just because if you go into your colony and everything you see on the screen isn't exactly, doesn't mean your colony isn't strong or healthy. So, depends on what time of year it is, but you want to ideally see 5 to 7 frames of solid brood. That's really, really good, ideal. 3 to 4 frames could mean slower build up. And just to kind of clarify, this is for more into spring. Like right now, it's still early. Right now, you don't want to have 5 to 7 frames. That's not ideal. We're talking about spring. We're not really talking about early spring. We're talking about in the midst of spring, whenever you're starting to ramp up on your spring inspections. Early spring, ideal would be 3 to 4 frames, or even 2 to 4 frames. Why? Because it's still early and you can still have cold snaps. Those cold snaps, if you don't have enough bees to cover that brood, can chill brood. We're actually going to be talking about that later as well. So in spring, ideally 5 to 7 frames. 3 to 4 frames might mean a slower buildup, and scattered or spotty brood could mean there's a possible issue in your colony. So you just want to inspect your bees and make sure there's nothing going on that isn't good. You want to make sure your brood's looking good. But as we all know, more brood is not always better. The colony must be able to cover it, like I just mentioned. If your colony's not able to cover the brood, you might, and if you have a cold snap, you might get a case of your brood getting chilled. And we definitely don't want that. So you want to make sure your bees can cover the frame, those brood frames that are in there. All right, so let's kind of talk about this. This is really important. This is one I kind of really was really kind of looking forward to kind of talk about. Let's kind of talk about brood to bee ratio. So first, you want to ask yourself, can the bees fully cover the brood? Because like we just mentioned, if your bees can't fully cover the brood, that's not really ideal. You want the same bee ratio, and you probably want more bees than brood. Why? Because those bees can um, feed and take care of the brood better even if there's a cold snap or even in spring as well. But more you get into spring where you're not going to have any cold snaps, the more brood, the better. Once you're still here in early spring, kind of late winter, and your bees are starting to brood, getting ready for spring, you can have yourself a problem, like I said, if your bees can't cover the brood. Also, you also want to ask, is the brood exposed or in the exposure where it could be chilled? You also are there empty frames with no expansion. Too much brood without enough bees creates stress and risk, which can kill brood, which, like I've been talking about, can chill your brood, and that means killing the brood. And this just not really what you want to have in your colony. Sometimes bees will do that though. So let's talk about number 4. You kind of want to kind of evaluate your queen. So a strong queen usually shows a tight brood pattern, minimal skipped cells, and consistent egg laying. And they also usually have proper egg placement, which means 1 egg per cell. Now there is a problem with that the last one, which I wanted to put in there. Is a lot of times newer queens, like queens that just come back off their mating flight. A lot of times those queens, they just kind of start going crazy and start laying, and a lot of times you'll see multiple eggs per cell. And I've seen that before with newer queens. It's just because they're new, and the more time they start laying and the more experience they have inside the colony laying eggs, and the slower she gets, the older she gets, the more consistent and the more proper egg placement she will have. So just be aware, just because you see multiple eggs per cell, you kind of do want to look for a queen before just automatically assuming that you have a laying worker, which most cases you do have a laying worker, but sometimes you always have to have context to see if maybe that queen is new, a brand new mated queen, and that a lot of times is the case. All right, so some red flags will include spotty brood pattern, drone brood and worker cells. That means a drone laying queen. You definitely don't want that. That's just nothing that you really want to have anything to deal with. Also want to look for multiple eggs per cell. Like I said, you also, just because there's multiple eggs per cell, a lot of times can mean a newer queen, and no eggs during active season if there is a queen in the colony. Now, if you don't see no eggs and there's a queen in the colony, you most likely have a problem with your queen, unless if there's no room for your queen to lay. A lot of times you'll have your bees get honeybound. That means they just fill it up with nothing but honey and leave no room for your queen to lay eggs. Your queen performance determines spring buildup speed. So, number 5, what you want to do is to check for food stores. So, a strong colony, even though it's strong, still needs food reserves. So, you kind of want to look for at least 1 to 2 frames of honey remaining. That is ideal. I like to see about 1 to 2 to 3 frames around this time of year, and even in spring, you still like to have some frames of honey in there. You want to see pollen stored near brood, because this time of year, early on, pollen helps stimulate the queen to lay brood, and it gets the colony to raise brood. And no signs of starvation stress. You want to make sure your colony is fed up real good, especially this time of year. If your colony is low, you want to feed Hive Alive, hard fondant. If it's cold, if it's warm, you probably could feed some sugar syrup, but if it's cold, if you feed sugar syrup, you're going to have a problem with condensation. Basically, what will happen is with your sugar syrup dripping down onto your bees, it'll drip down onto the bees in cold weather and maybe chill them a little bit. And it might not kill them all the way, but it might be a factor in a dead out. Number 6, let's talk about parasite and pest pressure, because parasites, small hive beetles, varroa mites can put some pressure on colonies. So spring brood expansion increases. So whenever your spring brood expansion, it increases varroa reproduction and small hive beetle pressure. So even strong colonies can collapse if parasite loads are ignored. Testing early in spring prevents late season failure. So I want to talk about varroa mites a little bit. I don't talk about them a whole lot. Some people, will say no mite Monday, so I'll kind of talk about them for a second. I usually don't talk about varroa mites that much because honestly, it's just people talk about mites all the time, and I'm sure y'all have heard everything about varroa mites. I don't know, y'all probably just kind of get bored of varroa mites sometimes, so I'm not gonna try to go on and on about it. But it's good to keep an eye on it, especially if you're a new beekeeper. You probably want to treat, test. I don't test a whole lot anymore. I used to when I was a newer beekeeper. I would do it a lot more, but right now I just don't do it a whole lot. And I do treat. I just don't do it as much. But I would advise newer beekeepers to start out that way, testing your bees and then treating them if the varroa mite loads are out of the roof, and then testing to make sure those treatments work. Now, I don't do that as much, but I would recommend it. Number 7, you want to have your colony wants to have some space to expand. So you want to ask yourself, whenever you're out in your colony, or even if you're just thinking about your bees, is the brood nest congested? Because if they are, you probably want to put another box on in spring. Are bees backfilling brood cells with nectar? If that's the case, if that's the case, a lot of times what you have to do is harvest some of those single frames and put some empty, drawn out, or even some foundation in there to replace it. I've done that a lot of times before. It has worked, and sometimes the bees will kind of solve the issue themselves. So I've a lot of times just left it in their hands, and they've fixed it themselves and got everything organized, and they were able to give some more room for the queen to lay. Also, you want to ask yourself, is there room for expansion? Because if there is not enough room for expansion in spring, a strong colony with no space will swarm. Now, I've talked a lot about it before. Just because you add space does not stop a swarm, because bees will swarm if they want to. But it is a good way to kind of, at least at your best, try to prevent it. Try to be proactive before you see swarm cells. Now, if you do see swarm cells, you'll just have to split your colony, or do a Damari split or a walkway split, whatever method you choose to use to split your colony. What I did last year, I plan to do this year: double deeps and get 4 colonies out of 1. So basically, a double deep, 5 frames in each colony, in each nuke, and then that way is the way I did it. And what I did was let the bees make swarm cells and make sure each colony that was queenless, make sure they each had a queen cell in them, a swarm cell. Here's some signs your colony is weak. So here's some warning indicators. So just don't panic if something is like this, because not all you need context. I've always talked a lot about that before. Context is really does matter. So low bee population, brood pattern is kind of irregular, kind of a spotty brood pattern. No visible eggs in spring right now. If you don't see any eggs and you see a queen, it might mean it's still early. You might not have a nectar flow, or you might not even have a pollen flow. We do have pollen coming in, so that's why a lot of our bees are brooding up. But a lot of times there isn't pollen, so it's kind of slower in some areas. So just because there's no visible eggs early spring, like right now, don't panic. That's just kind of normal sometimes this time of year. They're just getting going. But if you are in the middle of spring or right into spring, where most all of your colonies have eggs except for one, you might have a problem with your queen. You also a kind of a sign might be drone heavy brood. Now, in most cases, if you see drone heavy brood, a lot more drones than workers. That means your queen's going bad. You need to replace her. Most times doesn't mean just the bees themselves are weak, but a lot of times that means the queen is weak. That means she is running out of sperm to lay fertilized eggs. So instead, she has to lay unfertilized eggs, which turn into drones, and that's a queen issue, which you need to kill her and either buy a new queen or let them replace her. A lot of times, you'd probably just want to put a frame of eggs that that are not drone eggs in a worker size cell. If your problem kind of went too long, if you don't have any new eggs in that colony, and just from another colony, put a frame of eggs in there, and they can draw out some cells from there if you want to do that, or buy a queen, or you can raise a new queen yourself. Queen rearing. There's many different ways for that. Also, another sign, maybe a bad one, would be a minimal food stores in it. That means you'd have to feed, eat whatever it be fondant or even some sugar syrup, and slow activity during warm days. A lot of times, just looking at the entrance isn't always what you can do, but a lot of times you can kind of tell that if you don't see that much activity, like maybe one bee coming in every 3-4 minutes, that might mean that the colony is, didn't make it, might have died or something. But yeah, that's some signs. Not all of them. Some of them are just maybe some indicators. You just kind of want to look into your colony, kind of inspect, kind of see. And a lot of times, these weak colonies throughout spring, they'll live most likely, but you'll just have to intervene and start feeding them, kind of try to get them right back up healthy and get them right back strong and get them ready for winter. And a lot of times that means you won't be able to do anything with them, even though they overwintered all winter long. A lot of times that means you won't be able to do anything with them, whether it be splitting, honey, or anything like that, because they're just kind of small. And what you have to do is just expand, let them expand throughout spring, and you feed some sugar syrup, try to build them up a little bit throughout spring to get them ready for winter for next year to be able to do some stuff, kind of like I talked about earlier. So what should you do if your colony is healthy and thriving, if it's strong? So you want to prepare for rapid expansion. That means getting ready for boxes, get equipment ready, because a lot of times that rapid expansion, with all your colonies, or even just one, you'll need some new equipment, and a lot of times they'll catch you off guard. Last year they did. This year I'm building equipment for myself, so I'll have enough equipment for this year, because I build a lot of my equipment myself. You want to add boxes before the colony gets congested. Plan splits if desired. If you desire to split to expand, monitor swarm cells. If you have some swarm cells you want to split your colony, or a Damari split, or whatever method you want to use. Test for mites for honey flows if you choose to. Like I said, I don't test much, but especially for newer beginners, I would, recommend to test for mites. But me, honestly, for you folks who are watching, I don't test that much. I've talked a lot about that with folks before. I've had a lot of people. I've talked a lot about that before with people, that a lot of beekeepers don't test as much anymore. They did when they were newer beginners, but I find myself in that same thing as well. All my colonies are still doing good, by the way. If anybody's wondering, still all 13 since last time I checked was last week. All right, so this is a lot of people are probably a lot of newer beginners out there who may be watching are probably wondering, what should you do if your colony is kind of weak? And I do see real quick before we keep going. Oh no, you know what I didn't do? Oh man, I messed up there. I forgot to pop up my presentation. So I wish I would have went to my side of my thing and would have been able to do that. So I apologize there for you folks. So I guess there weren't that many people in there. So y'all let me know since I didn't have my presentation up throughout almost the whole thing. So if y'all want me to, I can redo it, and then whenever this thing is done, I can cut out what I did recently. Since we have 18 people in here, I can redo it if you want me to, or just keep going from here. Just let me know what y'all want to do. I guess I just forgot to pop it up, but I do see some people in here, so just let me know what you all want me to do. There's not that many pages in here, so I can just probably speed run it. I see. If y'all would make sure to click the thumbs up button on your way in. If y'all are just joining in, I accidentally did not put my presentation up. I had it hidden like that and just had my whole face right here. I guess it doesn't really matter, but yeah, I guess just keep going. You're doing great. All right, I guess I'll just keep going. Maybe I can find a way to add it in later. But anyway, if y'all would make sure to click the thumbs up button on your way in. I see some new people joining in. So what should you do if it's weak? So you want to evaluate queen quality. You also want to consider requeening, combine with another colony if necessary, if you're able to. That's what many beekeepers do, is combining the colony with another one. support with feeding if appropriate, and reduce space to help them regulate temperature. Not all weak colonies should be saved. Some of them should be combined. So let's kind of do our final checklist. So before closing the hive, if you're inspecting your colony, you want to confirm if you have good adult population, a healthy brood pattern, a functional queen, a healthy queen, food reserves present, and manageable parasite loads, and especially room to grow. If all six are present, your colony is most likely ready for the upcoming spring ahead. So thanks for watching, folks. The presentation. I'm not done yet. I'm still planning to keep going and doing some more of the chat. Now, like I mentioned, I accidentally didn't pop up the presentation, but we'll just I'm sure people heard what I said, so they can kind of take in what I said, and it'll be all good. Maybe I can figure out a way to go back and put it back in there if possible. I don't know. Maybe YouTube will allow me to edit it. If it doesn't, then that'd be kind of, and might need to figure out a way to allow that. So anyway, on your way in, make sure to click that thumbs up button. I appreciate y'all doing that. It really does help the channel out a lot. Helps get these live streams out to more people. I want to see who all joined in. I see Dave was in here. I see Dennis, Randy. When are you splitting your bees? I'm probably going to split my bees probably in March or April. That's when I did it last year. And really what I do is I just let the bees decide when to do it. I mean, I just let them make swarm cells. And what I'll do is I'll do a double deep. Last year it worked great for me. Double deep. 4 colonies out of 1. And I just let them make their queen cells, and each queen cell will go into each nuke that does not have a queen, and the one that does have a queen won't have any queen cells. So I'll probably do it whenever they make queen cells, which will probably be in March or April, like last year. End of April, I hope for me to start splitting. I get you up. Probably same here, probably around March or April. Hey, I see Lee, Philip, RTX honeybees. Many people in here, got a lot of comments. Brian Bennett, hello everyone. Thanks for checking in, Brian. I appreciate you. I see Lee. I'm just kind of going through comments real quick for Pete because I kind of missed all of them. Dennis, I think that's about it. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in there. I see Larimore, Larimore Farms, even in France. Thanks for checking in, Larimore. I appreciate it. And I also see Million IQ. Hey man, I have like 10 healthy single deeps. If it was you, do you split the single deeps? If it was you, do you split the single deeps now or add another deep with drawn comb and split it in a month or so? Then I am in Florida. Hey, that's a pretty good question. Got single deeps. So basically what you're asking is should you wait a little bit in a month and do double deeps? And what I did for what you're wondering is I actually did exactly what you're saying. Double deeps and splitting them whenever they're in double deeps. So that's what I did. Now, it just depends on what you would prefer. It worked great for me. Now, the plus of having a double deep is that if you want to do 5-frame splits, you get 4 out of 1 and you can expand rapidly. That's what it kind of did for me. I did that last year. Basically, what I did was I waited. I didn't do it right now in February or in March. I waited till about April to do them. They were real strong. I let them make their own queen cells and just did double deep. So just whatever you want to do. If you only have to wait another month, then I think just letting them be in a double deep. And if you have drawn comb, that makes it even better. I would probably wait and probably put another deep on them and let them expand up there. And the positive of that is you'll get more splits if you want them. Or if you just want to do a 1 deep and 1 deep, it's just gonna be really, really strong. So it just depends on what you really want. Thanks for $2 donation. Do you plan on going into pollination this year? I don't know if I'm going to do pollination yet. I only got 13 colonies right now. Now, more as I expand, if I get more more expansion in my colonies. I see 22 people in here. Make sure y'all click the thumbs up button, everybody who's joining in. Don't forget to do that because that really helps me out and I really do greatly appreciate it. Um, but once I do get big, get my bees up, if I can get to that point, I probably will because I'm sure it's a good investment, a good, good money to get out of it. Probably don't have to be that big. Just send a couple, maybe if you can get up to, if I could get up one day down the road to 50 colonies, send a couple out there. Probably could. Probably not right. Probably not this year. Probably not that strong yet. But down the road, that would be definitely a thing that I want to think about. Now, kind of a similar question because it kind of goes right into what Million IQ was kind of talking about. When I was talking about expanding. How strong are your colonies looking, Grayson? They're all looking great. I haven't checked them since last week, so it's been just a little bit. I've just been we've actually been on vacation this weekend. Went to the river, which is really really near. So that's kind of, so I had to put up on my presentation, today. That's kind of what I did. And if many of y'all go back and watch, I didn't even have my presentation up on the screen until late. I was just able to swipe back to my other side and able to see it. But they're all looking good and they're all strong. All 13, last time I checked, they're still all alive. We do have a little cold snap going on right now. It's kind of cold, but I do believe they're all doing well. That's right, everybody. Yeah, that's right, y'all. Sting that like button. I appreciate that. Grayson, do you use drop sheets? I don't use any drop sheets. I haven't. And I do know they're pretty effective. I've heard a lot of people have success with them, but I haven't used any. Hey, Jack and Danae. Hey, Grayson, late, but we are here. No worries, Jack and Danae. It's all good. Usually around this time, 6 o'clock, I do understand that it's still kind of early. Take some people. Usually, people join in around this middle mark. I'm just used to it. In the middle mark, people start just piling in. Just kind of starting to. It's just kind of still early in that 6 o'clock time, which I do like that 6 o'clock time. So right in the middle, people start joining in. So no worries. Yeah, I'm at 26 right now, or minus. Excuse me, I'm kind of talking kind of fast. Yeah, I'm at 26 right now, plus or minus 1. I get you. I just want to get up to 150 to 200 hives and stop there, sell nukes, do pollination. That's the plan. Yeah, I know many people might see that you're only at 26 and can't get up to 150 or 200, but you can easily get up to that in probably a couple years or even sooner. Because you can really expand, with splits, especially down here in South. A lot of people up north, you have to be a little bit more careful. Now, you can tell me in the comment section. I might not be saying your perspective might be different than my perspective of the northern states, in northern up there in the north. But just from what I've heard from people in the chats and from what people tell me. On my live streams with guests, it's you have to be a little bit more careful. You can't just you can't just split like crazy up there. You can't split around this time of year, which many of us can if done if done correctly. I must be the world's worst beekeeper. I've lost maybe 40 colonies in 4 years. I know, DC, and we all lose colonies. I've lost many colonies. I think I should rename my channel DC the Jaded Beekeeper. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah, but I've lost a lot of colonies too. Many of them. I've always looked back. I look back into some of my previous experiences, and I just remember so many colonies that I've lost. I really could have prevented. Many of them were just my fault, boneheaded mistakes that I made. But hey, the more mistakes you make, the better beekeeper you become. And I believe that last year was much more of a successful year for me. And we'll just see how you can't count your chickens before they hatch. Of course, we all know that. But right now, they're all still looking good. And so far, winter's been great. So been doing much better than previous years. Don't forget, click the thumbs up button on your way, and I appreciate that. Hey, shout out to your new box that you sent me, by the way. I feel like it's a good, well-priced box. I have one of my splits in it now. I appreciate you very, very much. I've talked a lot about my new boxes and some woodenware I've been selling. Now I'm going to talk about that just right now. I'm going to talk about it because I always do. I always shout out my Etsy shop as much as I can. So if you haven't already, many of you have already checked it out. Like Million IQ have actually bought something, and many of you others have already checked it out, I'm sure. But for people who, I try to make it as easy to access as possible. So if you haven't checked it out, I would appreciate it. Actually, I have some brand new listings out right now. So I'm gonna try to pop up a picture just to kind of, or maybe I can actually share it. So that might make it even better. So I can just show y'all in real time. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see here. I'm going to do this right here. Share that. So this is the Wildwoods Honeybee Co. Etsy shop. This is my Etsy shop. So as you can see, there's 11. Actually, I've been adding a lot of stuff recently. A lot of different items. If you're interested in it, so some new stuff, which as y'all know, I already have wooden assembled beehive stands, assembled nuke boxes, which no bees are included, by the way. Most of y'all know about my 10 frame assembled bottom boards and honey branded mugs and stuff like that, which many of y'all probably have already seen. So I've talked about it a lot. So I'm not trying to bore you in, I'm always mentioning it. Just trying to make it as easy to access as possible for you folks who might have missed it on some other live streams and videos. So some of the new stuff, brand new stuff that I've been adding is unassembled nuke boxes. So I'm just kind of wanting to respond to IQ's Million IQ's thing there. I think the assembled ones are priced, I guess, pretty good. It's just the only thing about this price, the assembled ones, is shipping. It's pretty expensive to ship big stuff. It's not really the weight. Now, the weight is one thing, but it's really the box. Now, the box itself, the length is about 21 foot, so you got to make it 22 foot for just a little bit of room to slide around. So I'm starting to sell unassembled stuff where it's just all unassembled, and the height and the width and the length ain't any different, but the shorter the height is, the much more cheaper shipping is. So that's the main bonus for you, and it's cheaper as well on the shop. And nuke solid bottom boards, pretty cheap there, $15 for one. Not that much materials into it, so it's a little bit more cheaper. $99 for a 10 frame assembled Langstroth hive kit, including shipping. Now, I can't imagine what shipping for that would be, depending on where you're going. 10 frame assembled deep hive body, $40 just for it. It's assembled, by the way. And I think the best thing that you can buy on the shop, I think it's the best thing you can buy, is the migratory covers. So as you can see here, these are a 8, 10, and 5 frame migratory covers. So you can select quantity, finish, and size. Size, if you want to get a 5 frame, and unfinished is $16. Finish is $19, which is white. 8 frame is $20. Finish is $3 more, so finish is $3 more than unfinished. And then 10 frame is $23. No, 10 frame is $26. So I think this is the best thing that's on the shop if you're interested. But anyway, I'm going to go back. I think that's about it that's on here so far. I plan to add more stuff in the future. Well, that's it for time being, but the link to my Etsy shop is in the description below, and in the comments below, I will add it in there as well. So, let me, go back here. There we go. I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna stop sharing. There we go. So, I see we've got 24 people on here. Make sure y'all smash that thumbs up button. I appreciate y'all so much, for joining in tonight. Now, as y'all saw before in my presentation, if you go back and watch it, I forgot to, put up the presentation. I just forgot. So next time I'm going to learn from that. We all talk about learning from mistakes. I'll learn from that. Make sure I remember it next time. Things still turned out good. Y'all are able just to look at me kind of talking. So it kind of looks like I'm not reading anything, but I actually am just reading what I wrote on the presentation, which is kind of what I always do. And then I just kind of go off of it. But make sure y'all click the thumbs up button. I appreciate it. What are your thoughts in 3-way, 4-way mating nukes? I'm told if I want to make this seriously, that it's mandatory to run mating nukes. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of people run. We're talking about mating nukes. I've talked a lot about seen a lot of people use just 5-frame nukes for mating nukes. Now, I haven't really used mating nukes. I haven't really had any need for them. Now, I'm sure a lot of people in the chat probably can assist you more than I can. But um, if I was going to be using a mating nuke, I'd probably want to use a 3-way, probably. I made my long hive in 2 and 3-frame mating nukes, and many seem to work well, but I like being able to use the deep frames. Yeah, I think there also are 2 frames and 3-frame nukes like that you can use deep frames. So then, because a lot of times they make mini nukes, I actually was gonna buy one. I think I was gonna buy one in like a couple years ago, a couple of them a couple years ago, but I wasn't able to just because they didn't have them at the time. They're just mini nukes, and the problem with them is that they're just not able to move into a big one. Because if you want to just raise a queen, you can't just move the frame over if there's some brood in there. Because most times you want to let the queen be in there for a couple weeks just to let her lay and then sell her or put her in a colony. And you just can't ever, if you take the queen out, what do you do with those frames? You can't really use the brood. But if you have a full frame, a regular size frame for your 10-frame deep, you can reuse it for stuff. So that's kind of thing there. Yeah, moving forward, I'll probably get your unassembled woodware, but either way, I'm happy with it. Glad to hear. And I would really think, I would advise if anybody was interested in buying anything, just to buy the unassembled, just because it's gonna be the same thing. It's just not gonna be assembled. All you gotta do is take, a nail gun or take a drill and some screws, and put it all together, and it's gonna be cheaper for you on shipping and the price itself. So you can, instead of just buying one for a good amount of money, you can just buy some assembled ones for maybe even buy 5 of them just for the price of one. So sometimes you get better deals. I do think about that a lot of times. Whenever I'm buying stuff like frames. Now most times for me, I'm always building my stuff, my woodenware. But I don't really buy any woodenware on online or anything, but I do buy frames online. So I'll buy foundation frames from Premier Bee Company, and I really love Premier frames. I don't know what frames y'all use, but I use Premier Bee products, and I really, really am satisfied with their frames. They work real good. I'm happy with them, and I know many people have success with those frames and really like them, and talked a lot about them before, and I really like them too. And that's the one. Those are the main ones I use. I've used some others before too. I've used Man Lake, I believe. I don't know at the time. I don't know what Man Lake was selling. I guess their own frames, I guess, is what their frames, but just from them, yeah, their own frames, yeah, their own frames. Is the ones I bought, but Grayson, you haven't done that video for me. Your post B stands. Are you still going to put more in? Oh yeah. I've been meaning to do that before. I haven't done that yet. Putting some more stands in. Every time I'm going out to BR, I'm always going around to some colonies that I need to get off those old pallets. Like I'm sure you've seen in some of my videos before. I keep on thinking I need to put some stands in and get this colony off of these old pallets. So I do plan to do that. I just haven't done it yet. Now recently I did. I don't know. I think you did see it, but I did make a video of how to build them or how I build them. There's like the stands themselves, but I didn't really show the posts in, which I do plan to do a video. I have not forgot. I just keep on going to the BR, keep on thinking about it, but I just keep forgetting. And times when I'm going out to the BR, I'm just never go out there thinking about that. If y'all would, if you haven't already, make sure to click the thumbs up button on your way in. I appreciate that. So in recent videos, I'm kind of want to talk. I'm going to talk about my weather real quick. That's one thing I just forgot. It's going to take me just a second to pull this up because I haven't usually have everything pulled up. Today is one of those days where I just kind of have to put everything together real quick. I'll just Oh wait, what? Give me a second. Let me escape this. Here we go. Um. There we go. I was just trying to do that. Share. I'm just gonna share a screen. I was gonna take a screenshot. It's just gonna take much longer than it really needs to anyway. All right. So here's the weather. Maybe you can kind of see it. I don't know. Let me put it in full screen. So as you can see, that's hourly. So let's do our 10-day forecast. So today the high was 48, kind of cold. The low tonight is gonna be 26 degrees. That's gonna be kind of cold. Compared to the previous days. Tomorrow's gonna be 55, much better than today, that's for sure. Low's gonna be 37. The high on Wednesday is gonna be 72. Oh, we're getting to more warm temperatures, so that's where we get into 72. Low is 57. This is what I mean. Look at that. Thursday 76. We're one day the low's gonna be 26, and then like 3 days later, the high is gonna be 76. That's a 50-degree change in 3 days. Now, of course it happens, but I'm used to it. But it's just crazy how our temperatures go up and down. Friday going to be 70, 71, low going to be 52. Saturday 70, 75, 77, 71, and 70 on Wednesday. And you can kind of see on the screen what our temperatures are looking like. It's just our temperatures goes up and down, up, and then just makes a super, super slow, super downfall. I call it a roller coaster winter because that's really what it is. So that's our temperatures for now. Hey, Chatter Grayson, can I give a list of the best veils on the market? I swear I wear a full suit with usually a separate veil, but lately too many bees have been saying hi inside my veil into my screen. Hi, any suggestions? I think for me, I can't remember all the brands I've bought. I've just bought some stuff off of Amazon, but in some nice stuff, of course. But I can't remember exactly the brand. But I've heard a lot of people are happy with Guardian, and some other companies as well that they like. Like DC said, I'm sure everybody in chat can give some recommendations. Now, I do want to kind of say that when I actually right now I have a veil that a jacket. I wear a full jacket veil. And it's a screen veil, with Pacific fabric that lets air in and bees not be able to sting, and it really does allow some air in. But anyway, about that. But before that, I just had a regular old suit, and bees were just starting to get into my veil a lot. It just started to get kind of annoying, so it was just good to kind of switch up and get a new veil and brand new one, and it works great. Can't remember the exact brand though. Just did first bee removal here in West Texas, and bees finally bringing in pollen. My bees are bringing in pollen, but good to hear y'all are starting to get some removals. I'm sure soon I'm sure maybe this year I get some calls for maybe a swarm removal or something. We'll see. Let y'all know if I do get swarm removal. I'll do videos like I always do. Hey Grayson, enjoying the chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Bobby Part, that's my granddad, so thanks for checking in. I appreciate you. Oh, and also, Grando Honey, thanks for checking in. Brand, just checking in. I appreciate you. Also, we do have 6 minutes left. We've got 19 folks in here, so we'll kind of get close to wrapping it up. So if y'all are checking in, y'all can always go back and watch the topic, what I was talking about. Unfortunately, I forgot to pop up the presentation. I always do my presentation, and I worked on it a lot today, and I thought it turned out good, but I just forgot to pop it up. So once this is over, I'm going to try and go back once this is all done and put on YouTube and see if there's a way I can just pop up the picture on the YouTube editor and see if I can. I would hope I can, but it might not let me, so just gonna have to live with it, which it'll be okay. I'm sure most of y'all probably don't it don't really matter. Y'all are still able to hear my voice. Now, what would have been terrible if I forgot to turn on my mic um and the presentation. That might have been even worse. Oh, Grayson, you mentioned you don't do as many washes as you used to. But do you run any drop boards instead? Um, I don't run any drop boards right now. I know what you're talking about, but that is something I probably would want to do soon. This year, might want to look into some to slide under my bottom boards. But right now, but the past couple of years um, that I've been keeping bees. I haven't used those, but I probably will. Like I said, I don't do as much testing, with alcohol wash as I used to. I might try to do some more this year, see if I can get some more counting. I just haven't done as many. I'm always honest. I try to be as honest as I can to you folks. I'm not going to say, hey, I test all the time when I actually don't. But try to be honest for folks. I just don't do it as much. But I think that's something that I will look into and try to do instead. Yeah, for counting mic drops, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah. No mic would have been tragic. Yeah, that would have been at the time. That would be terrible. But I'm sure afterward it'd be kind of funny. That would have been terrible because I was almost all the way through, and if I didn't have my mic, I would have been forced to just redo it. Now it wouldn't have been terrible. It would really wouldn't be the end of the world because all I would have to do is go back into my editor and delete everything that was before that I didn't have the audio and just put in the new, and it just would have been just fine. But it's all good. I think everything turned out good. But next time when I'm doing my presentation, I will do much better and not forget to pop it up. Hello, running late. I have to catch a replay. Thanks for checking in, Keith. So, whenever you do check the replay, I was just done kind of talking about it. I forgot to pop up the presentation, so you'll just have to listen through it, and you'll see the presentation pop up later because I just boneheaded forgot about it. But anyway, I do appreciate y'all watching. I really do appreciate it. We got 20 folks in here. Smash that thumbs up button. I do greatly appreciate that as well. Don't fret, Grayson. Folks can handle our chats. You're going. Thank you, Keith. Tim and Hannah. I appreciate that. Thank you, Grayson, the hardest working young man on YouTube. I'm assembling frames and listening. Thank you super much, Philip. I appreciate your kind words. A lot of times I'll watch chats too while assembling frames and stuff. I do have enough frames when talking about frames, but I probably need to get some more and put them together. What I do need to do, I do have frame jigs. Everything's good. Now, the one thing I do need to do is what I've been working on. I was one time out in putting together frames, and the stapler that I have it's been super super good, and I really really like it. It's just I think it's about about a half inch deep, or maybe it might be an inch deep. It's somewhere around there. It's pretty good nailers, but it just got clogged up, and it's just I can't been able to get the nails out, so I'm gonna have to get a new one for when I'm wanting to build frames. So, we're gonna try to get it clogged out sometime. I've been trying to do it every day, but haven't been able to do it. But anyway, just trying to rambling on, getting kind of caught up on other things. But appreciate y'all. I do see a late question. Hey man, when you have do you have any tips for anti-robbing with same yard splits? Oh, I know what you're talking about. Same yard splits. Yeah, those. Whenever you have those small colonies, those new splits, they can be. You can have a possible robbing situation if those entrances are big. And the main thing, like I think you're just kind of talking about there. I think you just mentioned it there. I was just about to say, probably want to put a smaller entrance on there, as small as you can do it. Even if it's so small, a lot of times you can have problems. Whatever ways, a lot of times you can move them out into a different yard. Now, I will say I haven't had any problems with same yard splits. Now maybe this year I might, and I'll probably video it and kind of talk about it. But I have not had any issues. But I would recommend doing the entrance as small as you can, which I know you said, seems like even with the smallest entrance possible. sometimes they just won't go away. And you're right, robber bees, when they want to rob a colony, they'll rob a colony. So, you'll definitely want to keep an entrance smaller. And and once we get more into spring, I want to do like a probably separate presentation on that, and do it like that. Talk about robbing, because that's a good topic. I'm glad you brought it up. It'll be good to kind of talk about in a presentation later on. Hey, Tom and Melissa, thanks for checking in. I was actually just about to check it out. But how are your bees? They're all doing well. All 13 are still alive, all good, and planning to check some more once the temperatures warm up and do some videos, and y'all will kind of be able to see kind of what's going on. But appreciate you checking in. Anybody who's kind of just now checking in, make sure to click that thumbs up button on your way out. I know I'm about to go ahead and end, but if you missed the previous start of the chat, you can always go back and replay. And I'll mention just one more time. You'll probably see throughout the chat, I forgot to pop up the presentation like I always do. So just keep on watching, and you'll see it pop up right near the end of the presentation. So thank you all so much for watching. And please click that thumbs up button on your way out. And we will, I'll catch you next time. Probably do my live stream again next week. And then after next week, I'll probably just take a break like I usually do. I do usually 3 in a row, break, 3 in a row, and another break. So thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate y'all, and we will catch y'all next time. Good night, everyone, and blessed day.